Picture, a new show on Bitcoin Live where we're going to discuss UAPs and what it means for Bitcoin and crypto. It will be an open discussion, so to whoever is listening out there, you're welcome to join this discussion in the future. Just drop us a DM and you might get involved into this discussion as we explore the topic and implications. But today we have a lot to cover. We're going to start with the Intercept and their what shall we call it? Attack on David Grusch?
Yeah, that's a good title, I guess.
Yeah, so what was it? Last week, the Intercept came out, a journalist from the Intercept. Actually, the Intercept also did something really good when it was with Edward Snowden. But today or last week, they sort of attacked David Grusch by bringing out his PTSD, basically, right?
Yep.
So what do you make of that issue?
So I think after listening to Ken Klimpenstein interview with Crystal and Sagar, I think he actually said it out loud that it is kind of a smear campaign and he was tipped off. And I think he's being used, but he don't even know that he's being used for this job. But the timing of it and everything, I will give like my whole analysis after playing these clips. But I think this is clearly a smear job and there is no substance to it. All the claims he's saying that he is an alcoholic or PTSD, that's not an issue. And calling him alcoholic is not like he have a certificate of it or a medical report. He's saying that his wife called him an alcoholic in 2018. People don't understand, like, wives call their husband a lot of the things. So that's not a proper source.
That's true. That's true. This is like the clip, so we'll listen to a little bit and then we'll come back to it.
Okay.
I'm going to turn off our sounds.
Joining us.
Thanks for coming in, Ken.
Great to be back with you guys. All right, Ken. So let's get into the nitty gritty, I guess, of the story itself. Let's start broad strokes. What is the story about? What is it?
Well, so he's kind of the star witness of the subcommittee that's looking at the UFO allegations. Not just him, but there are two pilots as well. And so in the reporting on it, I noticed a phrase popping up again and again: a decorated war hero, decorated war hero, decorated war hero. And I'm not disputing that he is, but when I hear that, it's kind of like, okay, well, where's the critique? Like, where's the negative side, or where's the vetting? And I didn't see any of that by any of the media. So I thought, well, I'm going to go and look and see what I can find. And so I know people both in DOD, in the intelligence community, and I did a call for tips to try to broaden the picture. It really just came from a mosaic of different sources that gave me ideas of what was going on. We can talk about that more. But really my motive was just, it didn't feel like anybody was vetting this guy.
So lay out the specifics of the story.
So this is basically a clip. It goes much longer, and we'll link it down below in the description. But basically, he's bringing up David Grusch, who is, of course, the star witness in Congress when it comes to the release of UAP information, that he has had PTSD and also apparently an alcoholic problem back then. So there's a lot of stuff that's very fishy with this, right? So where did this journalist from the Intercept get his information? It seems that it got through the proper channels, because Coulthard at first said that he might have gotten it through improper channels, not through the police office, sheriff office. I don't know exactly how it goes in America, but you have to, I guess, ring to the police office in order to get those documents, and then you have to know where you're looking in order to get the proper documents. But apparently he got the tip and he knew exactly where to look, which place, what year that it played, and he dug up some dirt and he now uses it to smear David Grusch, right?
Yeah. So first of all, the whole digging the dirt part is not easy. Like, first of all, it's not a criminal offense, so you can just call Department of Defense and got the record out of it. It's like, according to Coulthard, this is classified information. It's not like classified in the sense you can't access it, but it's in the in the sense that you have to be very specific about it, so you know where to look. And according to Coulthard, the David Grusch called the sheriff office, and sheriff office said we did not give any information to anyone. So it means he is lying here about getting the information from the sheriff office.
Yeah, and even if he did get it through proper channels, he didn't know where to look, right? Because you got a lot of documents, and then of course the sheriff office also has to release it, or the sheriff, because normally they don't just release medical documents to anybody.
Exactly.
So these things are really sort of fishy, and then of course you're also smearing somebody with PTSD. And he retained his special access project clearances after that. So the intelligence community actually continued working with him after he resolved his PTSD issue. And of course, many military people throughout America suffered or suffer.
Yeah, this was I was going to say that a lot of soldiers who served in Afghanistan or Iraq are or have suffered from PTSD. So it is a very common problem. This is the problem which is not even considerable by the military itself. Like, they did not take away his clearance. He, after 2018, when this PTSD incident happened, he still continued to serve the department, and then he hold his classified access to all those documents. So this is not even an issue in the eye of the Department of Defense or anyone. So this is the main issue. You are bringing a dirt which has no substance into it, but you are just trying to smear someone.
But on the other hand, right, it does make sense that you want to vet somebody, and I think it's also not that much of a deal that they bring it forward, right? So at least people now have a better idea who David Grusch was. I think it doesn't change anything.
Yeah, and then right after the clip you played, he said that I talked to some people in the intelligence community and some people in Department of Justice who tipped me off where to find it. So he actually said it out loud how he got the information. He was tipped out.
Yeah, and I think it was the Inspector General. So that's sort of the highest position within the intelligence community, the Inspector General of the intelligence community, who sort of asked sort of the Department of Intelligence to stop smearing this witness, right?
Yeah, because I think that Inspector General is like ex-Inspector General who is the currently David Grusch lawyer. I think that's the whole story. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think that's what I understood.
Okay, well, that's interesting. But I think another topic which is closely related and sort of, pulls out the bigger picture also is Chuck Schumer, right? Chuck Schumer is the majority Senate
leader. Yeah.
Leader.
Yeah.
He's Democrat, but he has sort of an amendment to a bill which is bipartisan, so Republican and Democrat. And in that bill that they're pursuing, they want basically full disclosure that they're pushing.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing, bipartisan. Because since 2016, America is divided. There is nothing that they can come together and talk about something. So after like 5, 6, 7 years, first time they are actually talking about the substance which is related to the public. Yes, they did pass some bipartisan bills in COVID time and like some for corporations, but they had no other choice. But this is the first time when they are actually sitting together, like ELC and Tim Burchett, they all are sitting together talking about the same topic and are on the same page. So this is itself a very big news for everyone, that first time Republican and Democrats are together and looking for something. So we will see something big in the coming future.
Everybody who sort of wants to stay on top of this topic to follow Need to Know. I'll link it down below in the video because they're sort of, in lockstep with everything that's going on. But I think also what's very interesting about the bill or the amendment to the bill that they're sort of wanting to add is the sort of language that they are using. because there's speaking about non-human intelligences, which is also in itself very interesting, but also about reverse engineering, about abusing the Atomic Energy Act from 1954 to sort of hide stuff from the public. So certain elements within the intelligence or military have sort of abused certain laws in order to hide stuff from the public. And basically, the Congress is now demanding complete transparency about everything that has been hidden for over 80 years now.
Yeah, but about this specific point, I don't think they will get an answer to it, because military is not going to confess that they are abusing this act. Secondly, it's not just US Army. I think all armies are doing some secret research on the nuclear technology, which is apparently illegal, but they are doing like a secret research on that. So I think all militaries in the world are not following that act, and military will never accept it. Neither they're gonna give access to Congress. I am just predicting it right now.
Yeah, so that's very interesting, right? So because I think that sort of gets to the heart of the issue, because we sort of touched upon it last time with why the whistleblower program, why now, and why the urgency also with the sort of the language that they're using and the speed at which they're pushing this, and sort of Chuck Schumer is not just anybody, right? So it seems there's like a lot of urgency and pressure behind this movement in order to go for full disclosure. So what do you make of that?
I think this is the pressure from the public, and I think also from the donors of these senators or the lawmakers. Everyone want to know what's going on, because if UFOs and aliens, no, we already know UFOs are real. You call them UAPs anyway, but they are real. We don't know what they are, but if it turns out they are not like extraterrestrial, like flying object, and then there are uh, alien beings who are operating them, it changes the world. So that's why everyone is waiting for it, especially a lot of corporations, because if you can access those intelligences, you can imagine the advancement we can have, because they are clearly way more advanced than us. They can visit us, we can't visit them. So there is like a whole thing, there is a whole reason behind it, that's a word like that will change the world, and they want to know. So I think this is the start, and there is a lot of pressure from the public, from the companies, from the donors to these senators. That's why they are joining on that.
But so I mean, you're absolutely right, and I think it's also very interesting with the language use that they're speaking about non-human intelligence. So they're sort of leaving the door open. Are these extraterrestrial? Are they terrestrial? Are they interdimensional? Are they, they sort of leave it open, whatever it is.
Yeah, but that's clearly indicating that they are saying it out loud that they are not human. So either it could be aliens or extra-dimensional beings, which are also aliens. So
because I think it was Jacques Vallée who sort of wrote a series of books. I haven't read any. I do have one here about the Great Deception, or at least sort of these intelligence being highly deceptive and taking on shapes depending on the era and the culture that we're in, right?
yeah. Also, I just realized that not realized. I just saw a clip from Coldheart that he said someone took a photo of an egg-shaped craft from a document, like from his cell phone. He took a photo from the document, and I think he released it. I didn't see it. I just listened to his interview right after our podcast. I'm going to go and try to find those clips, and if we can find it right away, we will put it in the description. But he's also saying that they found the vessel, and they, in the description of that vessel, they were saying that there is no visible propulsion system, and then they cannot penetrate in. They don't know what it is.
Yeah, it was sort of like a probe, right?
Yeah, it's a probe thing, and was sent to Earth by extraterrestrials. So that's a big story. And then Jeremy Corbell said there are 40 whistleblowers are waiting to come out. So it means we will see, and they are the first-hand people who worked on those recovery programs. So we will see a big disclosure very soon.
Yeah,
When I say very soon, it could be 6 months.
Yeah, I think there's a hearing actually in September plans, right? Another congressional hearing. So we don't know, of course, what they'll reveal. And I think it's also important to repeat that that David Grusch is under oath and that he might go, that he will go in prison if he lies, right? So if he lies about any of this stuff, he will go into prison. So he has a lot to lose. He still has his certain of the special access program clearances, or all of them. I'm not sure if he has all of them, but so he's still a high figure, a very influential figure, and his story has been corroborated by other high intelligence officials and military officials.
Yeah, and after this stupid Samir job, I am more like, I believe David Grusch more, because I can see that they are trying to put dirt on him, which is not working. Because in my eyes, as a viewer, I can see that the dirt they're bringing in is not substantial. It's like a stupid. They just found one saying from his wife when they had a fight long ago, and they said he's an alcoholic, and now you are just saying out loud, writing in your report that he's an alcoholic based on a wife's comment. This is really dumb. But anyway, after all this dirt on him, I think he is telling the truth. That's why these smear jobs are, you can see that all around the place. So I think this whole thing is making Grusch more verifiable, and I think he is telling the truth.
Yeah, and of course, during that first congressional hearing, I think it was actually the second one, but sort of the big one with David Grusch, there was also David Fraser, who's of course like a decorated army pilot. With
Commander Fravor is like one of the best people in that, not in that, but like in general, because he's a commander. You can't be a commander if you're dumb. You have to be very, very good at your job, and he is. That's how he became a commander.
And another thing that's also worth mentioning is that the Congress, who has been investigating this for a while now, they say that within sort of the closed meetings or the closed hearings that they also have, that they actually have seen video material that is way better than what's released to the public, right?
Exactly. And Jeremy Corbell said recently that there is extra footage from the gimbal video and Go Fast video, I think, that which is not being shown to the public, and he's demanding Pentagon to release that. So it means there is extra footage, and he didn't say that he see it, but he didn't deny it. And so the interviewer asked the question, and he just he wiped it out, and he said, I cannot answer this question. So I think he probably has seen it. I don't know about that. But the thing is, he is sure that there is an extra footage which needed to come out and for everyone to view. Let's see how it goes. But it means they have more evidence, at least specifically related to this incident. And I think they have way more than that.
Yeah, and also when you sort of dive into this rabbit hole, you quickly notice that a lot of the time there is a sort of group of men in black who steps in and takes possession of material, right?
Yeah.
There's like a lot. Of course, the words of apart from and the peer pressure not to sort of speak of it or to sort of let it rest, or even not even having a priority, right? So because the army has certain priorities, and this isn't one, or at least officially this isn't one of them. So there might also be information lost in the sense that it doesn't fit the operation that is being conducted, and then they sort of leave it out of the reporting, so to speak.
Yeah, and then I just want to say that Mick West, right? Professional debunker. He come up with a theory about the gimbal video that these are the plane far away, and when they are far away, you won't see a difference between a UAP or an airplane. But this argument is so stupid because, first of all, you're talking about Commander David Fravor, who saw it from his own eyes that it looks like a tic tac. Secondly, you don't think these military people who actually operate these systems, they can't tell a difference between an airplane and a UAP, and they make a whole story about it. And Mick West somehow thinks he's more more knowledgeable and knows everything more than these people who are actually doing this job day and night.
True.
And they're
And
protecting our borders from those things. And this is like really stupid. Like Mick West, I like out of all the people in the world, I hate him the most because his arguments are really stupid and he thinks he's so genius.
well, there's this really nice conversation between Eric Weinstein and Mick West on Theories of Everything by George Jaimungal,
Yeah.
which was a really fun discussion to watch, even though they sort of at the end came together, or at least reach each other the hand in order to move forward. And I think debunkers have a place in ufology, of course, because there's a lot of nonsense out there that needs to be debunked. But I'm really happy with Congress now pushing this forward, and the language that they use and the witnesses that they sort of bring forward. After many citizen hearings that have been held in the past, with also excellent witnesses who reported many amazing things, witnessing many amazing things, and even having radar images to corroborate it. There's like so many cases out there, very well documented cases that are.
Yeah, and about the debunker point, yes, they definitely have a place. Even I am a debunker because I see on Twitter every day like a new video of UFO, which I know is like fake, is either edited or wrong position or something else. So we, like you and I know you and me, we both try to filter out all these noises. So we are also debunkers. There are debunkers, and then there are people who have a job just to deny everything. They are living in 1990s where it was cool to deny everything and very materialistic, but the world has changed since then. Now everyone is like that, so it's not cool to be that way. And then he's not like out of that nostalgia of 90s. He need to understand we are living in a different world. We have actual proof from the actual pilots and the radar system, which is not like a bad system, is sort of state of the art system. So you cannot just say that's a plane or just to deny it. Like people who are operating these things, they know better, and I trust them.
Yeah, and I used to, when I sort of started down this rabbit hole, what I did was, look at footage, right? Footage from the public. You got Secure Team, which I really liked, and I followed them for quite a bit. And they have like a ton of footage from people, taking videos with their mobile phones or, what have you. But then I sort of, after a while, you sort of have this point where you've seen a lot of stuff and you don't know if it's real or not, because it's very, you sort of have to trust the story behind it. And I think Secure Team is very sort of open and honest about the videos that they show, that they sometimes don't know the origin, or that they sort of admit mistakes or whatever. But the point is, they're not, it doesn't get you anywhere. So
Yeah.
then I started shifting my strategy and looking for authorities within the space, and also to look for well-documented cases.
Yeah.
And one of these authorities in the space is Richard Dolan, which I can highly recommend. This is his website here, his YouTube channel. And of course, Need to Know. And there's many others out there who are really doing a really good job. I think Theories of Everything has a really, really good set of interviews on the topic, which is very balanced, open, critical, but not judgmental, right? So you've got a lot of these people now in the space who are sort of open-minded, but critical, and who have been following the topic for a long time with a lot of expertise. Dolan is actually a historian from his background, and I think Kurt Jaimungal is a theoretical physicist. Coldheart is like a renowned journalist who worked on 60 Minutes and has broken many major stories throughout his career. So these are like heavyweights, right? These are not just people that you can wave away like tinfoil hat type of people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They are like the top-notch people, and and these people are very careful because they have their whole career which they have to defend. So they are not going to put out something really stupid, and they vet everything before they publish something. Same with Jeremy Corbell.
Yeah. Also, excellent journalist. He works closely with George Knapp, and George Knapp is, of course, I guess, the founding father when it comes to when it comes to sort of releasing and breaking stories within the space.
Yep.
Yeah, so I changed my my sort of tactic. I also sort of found a lot of excellent books on the topic. There's also many dubious books, and there's of course a ton of speculation around it because nobody really knows anything, right? I mean, that's also important to point out. This whole phenomena is like highly elusive, right? It sort of changes appearances. It has many different forms. There's some sort of characteristics, some things that are stable or that don't change, but there's also a lot of stuff that actually does change through time, and also even depending on the person who is perceiving it.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I think that's true. And then even look, I am a big fan of scientists. So like all my life I've been listening to a lot of the scientists. One of my favorite is Michio Kaku, and I have seen his tone change in like last 10 years. Before he was like, you have to bring a proof to the scientist. There is no proof of your claim except like some faulty videos. But recently his tone is like, now the burden of proof is on the deniers because there is enough proof out there which is verifiable by the authorities. So if you want to deny that, you have to bring extraordinary proof to claim that they are not UAPs. So like even the scientists have changed their mind, except like Fuse.
Yeah, and I think that sort of phrase from extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence. I think it was from what's his name, the famous physicist.
Carl Sagan.
Yeah, of course. From the pale blue dot.
Yeah.
But basically, his sort of claim was it doesn't make much sense, right? You just need evidence. You don't need extraordinary evidence. You just need regular evidence, like you need evidence for anything else.
No, but right now what we have is extraordinary evidence because it's not just the eyewitness testimony. It's like eyewitness testimony of a commander at his prime, and then record from the radar system, which is like what else you want. So at least if you wanna don't wanna believe Grusch, that's fine, but you cannot deny that David Fravor or Ryan Graham, I guess. Yeah, these guys. Is it Ryan Graham or?
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah,
I think yeah. Anyway, these guys are Navy pilots, and they have eyewitness, like they witnessed it while they were flying, and then they recorded their incident in their radar system, and they have a video to prove their claim. So this is an extraordinary claim, extraordinary evidence. So we are at this point, we do have all those things. So now you have to deny that they are not.
true,
And I
true.
don't think if they had any argument, they would have came out long ago, but they cannot deny it, so they are leaving it out.
Yeah, but basically, I think when it comes to science, you just need evidence, right? You don't. I think the whole mindset that you have like normal evidence and extraordinary evidence, or I think that's sort of the complete. You just have phenomena, and you have to study them, right? So even if they're anomalous, or if you can't explain them, they're there,
Yeah.
right? So you can. What has happened in the past is that people simply have ignored them because
Exactly.
they're elusive.
Yeah.
And that's the reason that they have been ignored.
Yeah, and then we are only talking about the things which are out for the public. We don't even know
True.
what other evidences or what are. If David Grusch is telling the truth, it means they have like a lot of vessels in their custody which they have recovered during their whole program. So it means they have like actual physical objects which they are doing their research on and everything. Which means like what else you need, right? Everything is there.
And
So
I forgot the name of the physicist. He has also been on Theories of Everything. Who's now researching, who's sort of scanning the skies.
Avilob.
Yeah,
Avilob.
Aviloop,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, sorry, it escaped my mind. So
Yeah.
Aviloop also made an excellent point, and others did too, that you got a lot of these sensors and scanners that are actually sort of automatically scanning the skies. But because they're set to look for certain things, they're sort of ignoring all the noise that doesn't fit the patterns that they're looking for. So what Aviloop is now doing is he has sort of reset those scanners and sensors to actually look for the things that don't fit the patterns that we know in order to see them. Right? So basically, he makes the point that our sensors have been sort of blind to this phenomenon, and that's one of the reasons why they don't show up in the first place.
Yeah, and people should know about Avilob. He himself is an MIT scientist, and then he built a team of 100 people, maybe more, who are also scientists, and they started to look for the evidence. And as per his last interview, I think he already got some metal dust from those.
From the
According to
Pacific.
him, they did not originated on Earth. They came from somewhere else. So it could be a meteor or a dust came out of those vessels. So he's doing research on that. We will see a big reveal. If it's a metal which is not produced by the nature, it means it was made in the lab, and then we will have a big story out of it. So I'm just waiting to see what he have to say.
Was
But
that
it's not like he's just looking for it. He already found some debris.
was
And
it in the Pacific, right?
in the Pacific, yeah.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
got like a big ship, and he gave a whole tour of it too. It's like a big ship with a lot state of the art equipment, and he found something. So we are waiting to see the result of that research.
Yeah, and of course, there's the other people have also found materials, even at the crash site in Roswell back in the days, right? That they sort of confiscated.
Yeah, and I think I remember.
And to the Stars Academy.
Yeah, and then Bob Lazar also had some equipment he stole from the lab, and then he had a video, but it got destroyed during the experiment. But he captured the video out of it and he showed it. So we see, and then there are tons of it, but like what Avi Loeb is saying is a whole different story because he's a vetted scientist. He's not like a random scientist. He's like scientist in MIT, and then he's been respected by many other scientists. So that's a whole next level of credibility.
I totally agree. So we can do two things now. We can either jump in your psychedelics, which I love to hear the story of, or we can sort of stick a little bit longer on this topic and sort of discuss how this sort of might fit into Bitcoin and crypto.
I am excited to listen to your theory. We can jump off on the psychedelic maybe next time. Let's hear your story because last time we were about to discuss it, then we skipped it. So I think this is the right time to hear your story.
Okay, so I'm still working out some of the details, and I want to sort of publish an article that sort of goes into it in more depth. But the idea that I have is what I haven't had to change it very much, but I always said that everything that's going on right now has to do with the tech, right? You had this saying, I think it was from Bill Clinton, like it's the economy, dummy, or stupid. And I think you can sort of say it's the tech, right? That's basically at the center of everything that's going on right now. And this theory of mine, doesn't require UFOs or UAPs, right? It stands on its own. But I'm not surprised that I'm actually not really surprised about all these revelations and stuff. And it sort of bolsters my central argument. So basically, the economy, as they are sort of running it down the ground, and there's of course a new economy coming to replace it. I mean, they're becoming more and more open about that. So they're running down this economy that we're in, and basically what they're doing is, they're funneling billions and billions of dollars into a black hole, right? So it's sort of disappearing. And of course, my theory is not, I'm not a brilliant theoretician, but I sort of lent certain ideas from Catherine Olsen-Fitz and Richard Dolan. They had these ideas of the breakaway civilization and space-based economy, and I think that sort of makes perfect sense, right? So basically, what is happening is through this enormous or gigantic amount of debt that is sort of created, they're sort of funneling money out of the system into sort of, no, perhaps, right? I don't know. This is the theory, this wild speculation, into black projects. And perhaps there's also already assets out there, spaceships or whatever, in order to sort of set up this new economy. And that is one of the reasons that they're doing that's one of the lenses that you can look at the economy and what is going on. One of the other things that's also happening, and especially when it was during the pandemic, was that you saw the tech sector getting a lot of this money. Actually, most, if not all of it, went into tech. You also saw with the tokenization of shares that, retail sort of funneled all of their money voluntarily into these stocks. And it's sort of like a piggy bank that they can sort of empty at any time they want. So these sort of tech stocks, they have been pushed higher, and maybe also black projects. The money is taken out in order to sort of develop perhaps hidden tech. And also the at the same time, sort of the public is geared or moved in a certain way in order to embrace technology as the answer to all their problems, and even to incorporate it into a more intimate way in their very lives, perhaps even in their very bodies. And basically, so that's sort of the framework. It's a little bit messy. I can better explain this.
No, I think it makes a lot of sense, because we know for sure that there are black budgets, and then there are like ultra dark budgets which are out of black budgets. So like Congress, like recently, the AOC was saying that we have given them a lot of money, and whenever we do an audit, they fail, and they cannot even explain where that money goes. So it's going to the black areas. But what I think, where the crypto come in, that they cannot do it forever, so they need to find another economy. So that way, in that sense, crypto makes sense if these companies who for example bought Bitcoin or Ethereum back in the day when it was very cheap. So right now they are whales, and then if they have billions of dollars already in crypto, they don't even need to rely on the Congress black budget, because that's a scam and that can bite them back. So I think for them, it is better to move away from those black budgets, because they cannot sustain that thing forever. And basically what we see with our economy right now, that 0.1% of the billionaires have more wealth, like 0.1% of the world population, not 1%, 0.1, maybe even less than that, have more wealth than 50% of the people. So this is not sustaining. Our economy is going to collapse, because there will come a point when people won't have money to pay for their rent, their food, and they will revolt. And I can see it already. People are working full time and they cannot afford their basic needs. It's really hard for me. I have like way higher wages, but again, it's really hard for me to survive. I survive is fine, but I can see if somebody is working on minimum wage, which is most of the people, you will see a big revolt very, I don't say very soon, but like in the future, that people are tired of this thing, and they see a lot of billionaires are wasting money on big yachts, and they can't even feed their kids. And it's not just US is a very better position compared to all other countries in the world. And you can already see there's some sort of like violence going on in those countries against their government. We have recently experienced what happened in Sri Lanka, and then other
Yeah,
countries are
Nigeria.
starting to rise up. So I think economy, this system cannot sustain for a very long time. So this economy will collapse. There
Yeah.
is no other way out of it.
Yeah, and Ray Dalio did a really great job at sort of explaining that in very easy to understand visuals. And basically, it's in the end, it's very simple. Like the debt becomes so heavy that the deficit becomes all of the economy, right? So you need credit card to pay off credit card, and in the end, you sort of you destroy the economy from inside out. You take away all the productivity until there's no more money left to pay off debt.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and then also it is stopping human progress. People think that money incentivizes. It's not, because most of the actual brilliant mind are suffering for money. They cannot follow their dream because they have to work a stupid job to sustain or to feed their family, and then they cannot follow their dream, and humans are not progressing that much.
yeah,
There are
so
very few people who are doing the same thing.
but then, why Bitcoin and crypto? So Catherine also fits at this idea, and I don't fully agree with her, but I think in the basis, I think she has a point, right? So Bitcoin is created, and if you had to create Bitcoin like as a company, it would have cost you like billions upon billions, if not trillions of dollars. So basically, you create this ideal, and people start to volunteer that time and expertise for free. They follow this ideal, they promote it also around the world, and as it gets built, you also get crypto, of course, which is sort of which branches off. But at some point you get also its evil twin, right, the CBDC, which couldn't exist without Bitcoin. So they're like its shadow image, so to speak. But in order for people to adopt Bitcoin and in order to test it out on the world, you first need to let it grow and develop. Like the internet was, it also had to grow and develop, and people had to adopt it voluntarily. And at first, it was a free place and a jumble and a jungle of different domains and a place to get lost. And then they centralized it. And I think that's basically the same thing that you're seeing right now. Bitcoin is wild and free, and there's now this effort, this concerted, orchestrated, controlled effort from basically almost every government in the world to tame Bitcoin and get it under control, and especially to get access to Bitcoin under control. And the only way to do that is to enslave humanity. At least that's
Yeah,
my.
but I think it's more to that. Yeah, enslavement, I agree with that, but I think this push down is not because they hate Bitcoin. I think they want to gather as many Bitcoin
Yeah,
as possible
yeah.
because they know it's the future.
Yeah. So that's where I agree, and that's also where I disagree with Catherine also fits, because I think Bitcoin has this huge potential actually to liberate humanity and to spread real free market capitalism and especially freedom, right? So and that's why they sort of try to enslave us in order to sort of limit that potential of Bitcoin. But they like Bitcoin itself because of its decentralization, its security, and the fact, right, if you're going to build a space-based economy, you're not going to use fiat money. You're not
Yeah.
going to use gold. You're not going to ship gold to the moon in a rocket.
Exactly. Also, no, it's not even about the shipping. If they can create a metal transport or like a transporter like Star Trek, right? You can beam it up, but that's not the point. The point is, why would anyone trade with gold? Because gold is rarity on Earth,
Yeah.
not in the space.
True.
Space is full of gold. So gold is like useless substance out there. The whole theory about Peter Schiff was saying, when aliens come, how are you gonna trade with them with gold, not with Bitcoin? I think if alien gonna choose something to trade with, is going to be Bitcoin, because it's unique to our created technology, and then there is a whole blockchain behind it. I don't think, even though they are advanced, there is a possibility they don't have blockchain on their planet. So I think they can get literal use out of it. But with gold is useless, because how much gold we have on Earth? Not much. In a space is full of gold and even way more rare metals out there, right?
No,
So these mining and stuff is not useful for aliens.
yeah, I totally agree. That's also that was my second point. But I think there's there's a third point, right? Because if you sort of look at history, and when you look at sort of the Europeans branching out to different parts of the world when they were sort of colonizing, as soon as you establish a colony, what does the colony do? It sort of becomes independent, right? And it doesn't want to have to do anything with the motherland, but they still want to trade. So
Yeah.
let's say you colonize Mars, or you colonize the moon, or even Earth itself, right? Chances are that nobody trusts each other, but they do want to do commerce, right? And they're not going to use each other's CBDC, because that's you're not going to use money that can be printed at infinitum, right? We just went through that circus, and they know what happens at the end of it. And with CBDC, it would be infinitely more easy. So basically, you want both, right? You want to have a Bitcoin standard, which would be intersolar or intergalactic, or whatever you want to call it. And you want a CBDC in order to control the population, and sort of to limit and control who has access to that scarcity.
Yeah, and also this is a really good point to transfer the money. Like on the planet, it's impossible. Like it's very expensive to trade with gold, right? You can't fill up your planes or like a spaceship and go there. It will take ages. But transferring a Bitcoin is like gonna happen on the light speed. You sent it there, like you sent a signal, they will receive it, and your transaction is through. So I think inter like when you're talking about intergalactic civilization doing business together, I think the only alternate is to do it with the blockchain. It doesn't have to be Bitcoin, it could be any other token, but it has to be a crypto, and also have to be, I think, decentralized one, because if there are two planets, they're not going to trust a government issued one, because we are not going to trust their government as well.
True.
So it has to be something decentralized which they both can agree upon.
Yeah, and I think it's sort of, when you sort of take this framework, which is of course very extreme, and I know that some people listening to this, completely bonkers, but it also explains why you see that push for a one bank system that's happening throughout the world, because this sort of banking crisis that is still ongoing. And when you look at the history of banking, where Richard Werner explains that perfectly, you see the amount of banks gets less and less and less. You see it in America, you see it in Europe, and of course in Soviet Russia, you only had one bank, like literally one bank. And of course, in the past, that didn't work, because you're reliant on human beings, and you need price signals, and price signals are a form of communication between people. But what if you can take out of the human element, or at least limit the human element in a significant way?
Yeah,
Through
and
AI
about
or
the
robotics.
sorry, sorry. I'm just saying about the people listening. We are not claiming that's how it's gonna happen or that's true. We are just speculating, and this is our
Just
opinion.
opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah, because this is like high conspiracy, of course,
and
and it's fun
and
to.
it's fun to visualize those things, right? So
True.
we are not.
True. Yeah, so basically, it does make sense if you look at the economy from that side. So, because I think, many people look at what is happening in the world from the current perspective, from our current economy, and then a lot of it doesn't make any sense. But like we said, this current economy it's not lasting, right? It's something else is just over the horizon, and I think the something else that's just over the horizon is something that is based on high tech, like a high-tech society with very few people, and the people that are living in that high-tech society are very limited in what they will be able to do or say or think, right? That will be a highly controlled and highly managed high technological society that's just across the horizon, which does fit in also blockchain crypto. I think also when you look at AI, right, AI also needs something to keep track of things, like a blockchain. in order to sort of exchange information, but also, to base its information on something that's accurate and trustworthy, that has to be decentralized. And NFTs, right? Everything will be NFT'd, including our identity. So all these things, they need something that's extremely secure and highly decentralized. And I just lost my good friend, and he's back. I'm not sure how much you missed, but I think so sort of to round it up, to come to the conclusion, I think sort of Bitcoin and crypto and sort of the Web3, or whatever you want to call it, environment that's being created, it sort of makes sense that you're not going to use fiat system to exchange NFTs or a CBDC system that also runs on fiat, right, or gold or whatever. You want something that is sort of interchangeable and interconnected and works seamlessly.
Yeah, somebody called me and then I lost the connection.
No problem.
And I'm using my phone. Yeah, sorry.
So basically, you need one planet bank, one planet coin, one planet system, one planet government. I think that's also where something went wrong when you look at how everything went. That you have a multipolar world. I think the plan was, or the aim was, to have one world government, one world monetary system. But maybe that was too much to ask for, because we sort of hit peak globalization, and then something shifted. I think they were aiming for something else, but they failed to achieve it.
Yeah, also, like, even if they, for example, we have CBDC and they implement one world currency and everything is under control, there will be a lot of people who will rebel against it. And even they don't go fight like outside, they will still continue to use their own decentralized currencies because they don't want to be controlled. So I think in any case, crypto, what we have right now, a decentralized version, will gonna stay. And if they control Bitcoin or Ethereum, people will use another token. They will use XRP, they will use SHIB or something else. It's just that's the quality of crypto, that it's decentralized and it's not just one. People have to agree on something and then they can move forward with that.
True. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it's not a race that is won, and of course, again, this is pure speculation on my part. But I do think, like, the way they sort of build it up, and I say I fill in the blank. I'm not pointing at someone specific. I do have some people in mind and some organizations, but I don't know exactly who is behind it. But there seems to be sort of an orchestrated effort to push us in a certain direction or certain directions. But it's in no way certain that we'll go where they want us to go.
No, but I agree with you that there is an effort which is pushing us in one direction. I completely agree with this point you're saying. So I can see there is like certain push, but the thing is there are always unexpected consequences. So I think one of them is like people cannot be predicted because they are individual human beings and they do stuff from their creative mind. So we will see, even though there is like a push towards one direction, people will split out and branch out.
True.
And find their own way.
I think the two most dangerous groups at the moment are the people who are pushing for this agenda, right? So that's a certain group of elites, right? It's not all of the elites, obviously. And also within that group, there's different factions and blocks, and there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong. But I think in the other group that is also, dangerous in this sense is that it's the sleepwalking majority that is sort of blindly trusting authority at the moment and not thinking for themselves, right? Because they're following they're basically heading off a cliff, right? If they don't wake up,
yeah,
and they're taking us along with them.
I completely agree with that. Yeah.
So it's and sort of also to put a fine point on it. I think when you look throughout history, there's always like this this battle between this power struggle, right? So, and that also has to do with tech. So there's this, you had the citizenry of a country or a kingdom or whatever, and you got authorities, and there's like this battle between the authority and the citizens in order to sort of balance out that power, right? And in America, that you had like the separation of powers, and of course you had something similar throughout most of Western society, where you sort of separate those power blocks. That's why you have a Senate and a Congress and a president, and like the fourth estate and stuff.
Sorry, but for this point in America, it looks like we have decentralized power. But after analyzing what's happening around us, I think this is just for show, what we have as a president or a Senate or a Congress. And then there is like an actual power which is controlling USA or the rest of the world, like a secret government.
Yeah, and that's basically the point that people like Jeff Booth made, right? If the money is broken, the system is broken. I mean, you can put as many laws in place as you like, but money works around the laws, right? That's something that we see in our daily life, that you can buy Congress people. There's even, I think it was Ed Dodd from ex-BlackRock employee who sort of said, explained in one of his interviews that, you know, a congressman or woman is so much worth, and a Senate person is so much worth, and they all have like an amount that you can pay for them, which is you know, it's not nice to hear, but basically you can work around laws through money, right? And if the money system is broken, which it is, I mean, it's clearly broken. Every fiat system is inherently broken, but the corruption sort of builds up over time until it becomes endemic or systemic, and it becomes impossible to sort of control it through legislature or laws. When it sort of reaches that point, then you know, you get a new system, right? The trust needs to reestablished, and I think that we're nearing that point. And there was something else that I want to say in this regard. So the other sort of, but you also got this balance with tech, right? So if the tech becomes too heavy on one side, right? If the government or the authorities have so much power in the form of technology over their citizenry, then history teaches us or shows us that leads to a dictatorship. Right?
And also, about that point, that's true until now, but then history also teaches us after every dictatorship, there is always a rebellion which overthrew that dictatorship.
Yeah, but so coming to that point, right? So Mark Moss, he did a really cool video a while ago about these cycles in history, right? You got the business cycle, you got of course the one from Neil Howe, which is a sort of a generational cycle, and you got also which is a bit more speculative, like a cultural cycle. Which may or may not be true. I think it's true, but it might not be in the way that Mark Moss says it is, but which goes from centralization to decentralization, right? So, and the generational cycle is called the saculum, which comes from the Romans, who've sort of pointed that out. But basically what's happening right now is that all these cycles are coming together at one point. So all the three cycles, the major one, which is about 250 to 300 years, then the business cycle, which is, I think on average 60 to 80 years, and then the saculum, which is like about 100 years. They're all sort of converging on one point, which is pretty close to the singularity where Ray Kurzweil was talking about. And most AI specialists are sort of concerned about AI, that it might go much, much faster than they ever imagined it would be. So what if the people who are actually in control, or who have access to all this information, you know, who have access to way more information than we do, saw this coming like way in advance and prepared in order to skip a cycle?
Yeah, I think you're right. Also, with AI, I think we need to have like a whole podcast about AI, like what are going to be the effects of it. And I think AI is already controlling everything already, and we don't know about it. We just see Chat GPT or some other bots, but the actual AI which is being built from many years, because I studied AI in 2008, and since the 2007 2008 I started it, and at that time it was so advanced. What we are seeing right now is just the basic version out for public, but there's like actual thing going on in the, like, behind our, like, behind our eyes, and which we can't see, but there is like a very powerful AI which is controlling most of the things, including the narratives on the social media sites, because a lot of the comments or things you see, they are not even real, they are AI bots, but you think they are the real people, and then people, those bots are trending a topic, and then you see it. So there's like a lot of the things going on. One of the things I want to talk about is the world coin. You heard about that, right? That's a cryptocurrency related thing, but I am not very comfortable with that idea.
No, me neither. Me neither. But I think sort of this sort of lays the groundwork of my theory. There's a little bit more to it, and I hope I didn't mess it up too much. But I think it's reasonably coherent. But I think when you look at it from that framework, then these UFO revelations that are happening right now, and sort of this push by Congress to make it public, I think fits this narrative, right? Because we're sort of at this point where for 80 years they've been trying or maybe successfully reverse engineering spacecraft, or at least exotic non-human technology, and maybe they have reached this point where they, through AI and other technologies, which are reinforcing each other, right? That's sort of a feedback loop. If this technology improves it improves that technology over there. So maybe they have reached this culmination, this point where they've now been able to successfully re-engineer these technologies, and that Congress is saying, okay, this is like a dangerous moment, right? Now it's time to confiscate these and bring them out in the open. Also to sort of make the public aware that they're real, right? Because we're going to use them. So it's also a form of priming. I think that people have to be primed in order to sort of accept what's coming. That's also why I think sort of the UFO revelations that have been happening for the past 5 to 10 years, like dripping into the public consciousness, has been sort of a controlled disclosure, like to get people primed or used to this reality, this new reality, to get it out into the public in a controlled way, and also to distract from all the suffering and the economy. So it's sort of like a distraction from something else, and at the same time it's a priming and a controlled release of this information. And on the other hand, right, what's happening in the world with economy and war and all that kind of stuff is also a distraction from the UFO file. So it's they're using one distraction to distract from the other thing, right? So, but and I think they're also trying to get a hold of the narrative in order to guide it into a certain way. But basically, the amendment to the bill by Chuck Schumer also allows the government to confiscate everything, which Coulthard points out is kind of dangerous, right? If you don't want the government to confiscate all the material, right, all the reverse engineered,
Yeah.
especially when you put it together with CBDCs and the new system that's being rolled out.
Yeah, that's a very good perspective. I really like this theory. Like, it makes sense. And one thing I want to add into that, it's all the Congress senators, they could also be agents, not like proper agents, but like they could be pawns in the big game who are also helping the world to go in one direction. It is also a possibility. This whole disclosure is something, it's just a cover up to direct humanity in one direction.
Yeah, because it's sort of like a spectacle, right? It distracts. It's also, you could even say it helps the elections for the Democrats, right? Because Chuck Schumer is a Democrat. People have been asking for disclosure for ages. If the Democrats sort of release this, that it might actually help them win the election next year by doing
I don't
so.
think so.
No, me
Because
neither, but it might be like a
one more thing, because like I live in North America, so I understand this whole UFO disclosure thing. Nobody is giving credit to Democrats. Everybody is giving credit to Republicans for that, even though it's a bipartisan thing. But people know here that it started with Republicans. So I don't think this is going to help Democrats. They are trying to do it. I agree that that's what they are trying. That's not going to work. Secondly, if they have Biden, I don't think they're going to win next election. If they have Kennedy, RFK, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
But if they are running with Biden again, then I don't think anybody's going to vote for them.
No, but I do think, us as crypto and Bitcoin adoptees, we should be sort of wary of the government, of at least too much government when it comes to UAPs, right? I think Coulthard does make a good case for the fact that if certain elements within the US government went in bed with certain private organizations, I think Coulthard names Lockheed Martin, but there's probably others involved.
Boeing.
Yeah.
Boeing is a big one.
Then if these parties spend money to retrieve those things and then reverse engineer them, right? Then technically they're also theirs, right? So what claim does the government have to then confiscate all their research and all their money that they've spent? And do you want all that power concentrated in one place? And before I go on, the crypto curator says, if aliens actually existed, do you think they are as fascinated about us as we are with them? What do you think?
Yeah, so okay, I don't think they're, of course they will be, because they are observing a different civilization that will make them excited and curious. So I think yes, that's my answer.
Yeah, I think, this is probably a whole another topic, right? This,
Yeah.
once you start talking, you can, I sort of pushed everything into this last 30 minutes or so. But I think, you mentioned it in the previous conversation we had. I think the phenomenon, the UAPs, but it's much bigger, right? When you look at Skinwalker and there's many other examples, it clearly is something way beyond our understanding, right?
And if we just look at the modern thing, which can be scientifically explained, because even though they are UAPs and identifiable, we can explain it scientifically. But if you go back in the time where you read religious texts, there are always, every civilization is talking about angels, demons, good god, bad gods, the fighting, intergalactic fighting. Like Hinduism have a lot of the things. Same with Islam, because I know, and I didn't understand that back in the day when I was reading that, but now with more explanation and better translation of Arabic language, I see that even Quran is talking about a lot of intergalactic wars in there. And then same with the Bible and everything, and wherever you go you will find something. So there is something going on, and I think we need like a whole big discussion on that topic, about interdimensional beings.
Yeah. I mean, we could do a whole episode just about religion, and we can also do a whole episode about AI, and we can do a whole episode about narratives and how we are being steered in certain directions. So I think, and one of Skinwalker, right? We got a lot of topics here to go on. And again, to all the people who are listening, who are in the chat, or who might listen later, if you want to join this conversation, and if you have a unique perspective on this, just send us a DM and we can invite you into the conversation. To YouTube, who's watching us, this is pure speculation. This is our opinion. This is not fact. We do reference facts. It's not all imagination, of course. There are congressional hearings. There is an amendment being passed. There are witnesses. There's tons of evidence out there. So but this sort of conjecture is all mine, and inspired by Catherine Olsen-Fitz and Richard Dolan and others. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think we'll have more things discussed in our next podcast, but I think that's enough. And again, as you said, this is all speculation and our own views. That doesn't mean it's true, but I think they are true.
We try to broaden the perspective. That's also why we call it the bigger picture, in order to look at what's going on within crypto and Bitcoin, but also to look at it from a different angle and from a different perspective, in order to not miss anything that might be happening, that might be relevant to the space or where we are going, right?
Yeah. And then we'll talk about intergalactic trades, which is I think I like this topic, where it's easier to do trades with different planets through Bitcoin rather than material objects.
I think that was the light bulb, when Catherine Olsen-Fitz said the space-based economy, and you see space-based economy popping up everywhere, from space hotels to whatever, right? And the fuel on the moon, and we can easily fill a whole topic on that in itself. So with that, we'll close for today, because otherwise it gets too long. And we'll see you next time.
See ya. Thank you. Bye.